Prior restraint. This really is a fancy term for censorship, but prior restraint was first declared in Neer versus Minnesota, and that was in 1931, and later reaffirmed in the New York Times versus the United States in 1971. Governments cannot suppress a thought from entering the marketplace of ideas just because most people see the ideas repugnant or offensive. So Neer versus Minnesota basically is a Minneapolis newspaper called the Saturday Press. Jay Neer and Howard Guilfoyle accused local officials of being implicated with gangsters. Minnesota officials sought a permanent injunction against the Saturday Press on the grounds that it violated the public nuisance law because it was malicious, scandalous, and defamatory. The law provided that any person engaged in the business of regularly publishing or circulating an obscene, lewd, lascivious, or malicious, scandalous, or defamatory newspaper or periodical was guilty of a nuisance and could be enjoined from further committing or maintaining the nuisance. The state Supreme Court upheld both the temporary injunction and the permanent injunction that eventually issued from the trial court. So the Supreme Court case was, does the Minnesota gag law violate the free speech provision of the First Amendment? And the answer was yes. In an opinion authored by Chief Justice Hughes, the court held that the state statute authorizing the injunction was facially unconstitutional, meaning the decision was based on analysis of the law's general applications, not the specific context of this case. So the gag law could not stop the article from being published. And basically, this law violated the First Amendment, and this was basically called prior restraint, but you and I would call it censorship. And censorship is not allowed. The government cannot stop something from going to press just because they find it malicious, scandalous, defamatory, or any of these other items. Now, it'll be later reaffirmed in the case that we must know, and the one that we have to know is the New York Times versus the United States. So this is the idea of censorship.